Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. This is a morning interview, and I like it. I get to start my day off with you, which is so
Oh,
great.
girl. I know. This is so much fun. I'm excited.
I know it's going to be really fun for everyone watching. This is Coach Jenna. She's literally the best. We are going to be asking Jenna all the questions today. So we have personal questions, and then the coaching questions, and then my favorite, which is the super fun questions. And like we always say, this is for everybody to get to know you, but I'm actually excited. I feel like I know you pretty well, but I'm excited to get to the questions that you like normally don't ask someone, like the fun ones. So I'm excited. Let's just dive right in. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. So where are you located?
So I am in Greenville, South Carolina on the East Coast.
That's awesome. Do you like it there?
I do. We have lived here for 5 years now, and we love it. It just feels like home.
We used to live in North Carolina, and I just love the Carolinas. I just think that they're so nice. There's I don't know, grass. I mean, there's hills and grass and horses, and I just loved it. So I'm going to have to come visit you.
Oh, definitely. Yes, anytime.
Yay. Okay. What is your MBI type and your Enneagram?
So no surprise to you, I am an ENFJ, like solid on all 4 counts. And my Enneagram type is 2 wing 1. So the helper with a hint of perfectionist in there, which I think they call the reformer.
I love that. We are literally the same exact MBI type and the same Enneagram type, just wings the opposite ways. So I think that's so funny. I think it's cool too, because literally the second I met you, I was like, we clicked, and it's crazy how that just okay, well, duh, we clicked because we have the same personality preferences, which is just cool. I just think that's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 fun facts about yourself.
Fun facts. Okay, well, one fun thing, and it was funny, I heard you talk about this during your interview, and I was like, oh, me too. I moved around a lot. So I grew up in the Midwest, like Minnesota and Wisconsin. So I always have felt like a Midwestern girl at heart. And then my family moved to New England. So I lived in Massachusetts and New Hampshire for a long time. And that's actually where my husband and I met. We met while we were both living in Boston. And now we live in South Carolina. So I've been to 3 major regions. I still need to get out to the West Coast, but
yeah, I think you know what, you say that and it pops in my brain. Do you think that has any influence on our personality preferences? Because I moved around literally, I think 15, 20 times as a kid. And I think starting new schools forced me to be more extroverted and more of a control freak as far as the J goes. I feel like that totally impacted my personality, which is just so interesting. I've never thought of it until you just said that. And I was like, huh.
I think it definitely brings that side out of you when you just have that many restart, everything is different. You view change in a different way. You almost view change as something that you anticipate now, as every few years you're expecting a major overhaul because you're just so used to that. So I'm always so interested when I talk to people who have lived in the same place their entire life and know the same people they've known since kindergarten. And I'm like, what is that like? I have no idea.
I know. That's so funny because my husband and I, Carl, we decided that we're moving to Houston. We're veering off track just a second.
Yeah.
But everybody was like, oh, you're fine with that? You're going to be you're going to move? And I'm like, yeah, what's the big deal? It's just
standard,
a little adventure. And I just was like, that's so interesting how our upbringings and our experiences just totally impact us.
100%.
So cool. Yeah. Okay, so you've moved around a lot. What's your other fact?
So this is a little more hilarious. And I'm going to say this in a way that sounds cool, and I can assure you it is not as cool as it sounds. But I used to be in a band with my little brother and his friend. It was very low key, like, and we did things in the complete opposite way that you would expect. So like we never performed anywhere, at least not with me. I think they performed a little bit. But we did record an album, which is on the black market somewhere.
That is so awesome. What did you do? Did you play an instrument or did you sing?
So I sang, and actually I whistled for one part. But my whole family is kind of musically inclined. My mom taught me how to play the piano when I was little, and I was a band kid. You know, I played the flute, and my brother taught himself how to play the guitar, and I have a guitar I need to pick up again. But, you know, musically inclined, and at one point we got together and, like, recorded a bunch of stuff, and it was so fun.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I also was a band kid. I played the clarinet and like it.
Oh, hey, Woodland.
I know. That's just so funny. Do you ever like listen to the album and are like, I can't believe this is me?
Yes, I will say that when I first heard it, I was like, wow, this is so special and cool. My little brother is amazing. Like, vocally, musically, like, he's phenomenal. So I always feel so proud listening to him. Over time, listening to myself has gotten a little more like, oh, that's not as good as I thought it was. But it was
beautiful.
So fun to immortalize that. And one of the songs that I sang was kind of a lullaby. So I have definitely played that for my kids.
Oh.
And they call it the mama song.
Oh my gosh. That's literally the sweetest thing ever. I love that. Okay. Those were really good ones.
Thanks.
Okay. Any hobbies you enjoy doing?
So, yes, they look a little different once you have tiny babies and your time sort of changes. But thankfully, one of the hobbies that I have loved for a long time is like cooking and baking. And since food is necessary, you still find ways to make that happen even when you have kids and no time. So I really like to cook. My dream would be if I could do those meal delivery kits like just every night where like everything is convenient and shows up, but then I get to try a new recipe and like make amazing, delicious food. That would be my dream.
What's like your like favorite go-to dish to make?
I would say when we're feeling like, oh, let's make something good, we do steak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just fun. But I'm also the queen of making chicken 18 different ways to try to make it taste different, even though it's still just chicken. So
have you ever tried to make hummus chicken?
No.
Okay. I do not enjoy cooking at all. It stresses me out. I'm like, feel like there's a time crunch. I did one of those meal delivery things and there were so many things that had to be happening at the same time.
At the same time.
I literally would start crying and be like, I just can't do it. Like,
oh, no.
So stressful. But I found this one recipe that's hummus chicken that is so easy and it's literally my husband's favorite. Like every night when I'm like, what do you want for dinner? He's like, hummus chicken. I'm like, okay. So I'll send you the recipe. It's so good. So good.
Oh, this sounds so amazing and unexpected.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm full of surprises today. Okay, favorite book for yourself and to recommend to clients.
So I feel like my favorite books for myself tend to center around relationships because that's just been something that I've been interested in forever. Mm-hmm. So I feel like my favorite book for myself is The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work by John Gottman because I love him. I think he's a genius. His research is fascinating. But I also feel like for as much as it can enrich your relationships like romantically with like your partner, a lot of those tenets carry over into just close relationships with friends and family. And I feel like just having that extra layer of awareness can be so eye-opening. I love it.
Yeah, totally. Do you have, that was I studied Gottman in grad school, but then Carl and I did like premarital counseling and the whole class that we did was based in Gottman, which was just cool. Because I was like, I already know all of this, you know? But do you have his app?
No. Oh, is it the love languages one?
No.
Okay.
It's I'll show it to you. Gottman Card Decks.
Ooh.
And it's free. So everyone
Yes.
watching, if you have a partner or a relationship,
Okay.
get this app. It's so good. It asks like open-ended questions, has like ideas for rituals of connection that you can have with your partner. It has a lot of like, they call it like salsa, mild, medium, and hot, which is what you think it is.
Amazing.
It's
Yes.
just really good. You should get that, Carl.
Yeah.
And play that sometimes when we're like, we're bored, let's play a game and drink some wine together. So
Yep. No, this sounds magical. I'm so glad you mentioned it.
yeah, I'm on the Gottman train for sure.
Yes.
Okay, now we're into coaching questions.
Oh, clients. Do you want my book for clients?
Oh, yes, sorry.
No, you're fine. So I think my favorite book to recommend for clients, and for me too, for sure, is The 4 Agreements. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of that, but I have not read it yet, but I've heard really good things.
It's magical, and I think they call it the practical guide to personal freedom. And I think one of the aspects of relationships that I've always really loved is this idea of how your beliefs and your expectations influence how you sort of live out relationships. And so I feel like this is such a great starting point, whether you're in a relationship or not, because the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, which is hard for me, don't make any assumptions, and there's a 4th one. Always do your best. Duh.
Yeah.
So it's a great starting point to just sort of even get into boundaries and like what's yours, like what's your responsibility, what's other people's responsibility. Like there are these quotes that are like, other people's opinions of you are none of your business, and it's like such this revolutionary idea that like you really don't have to worry about that. Like that's somebody else's stuff. Like you can worry about your own stuff.
Yeah, totally. I like preach that. I think Rachel Hollis actually like posted that.
Yeah.
Video, and she like, I'm sure it came from that book.
Yeah.
It's just so like, just a new perspective to like look at things. And I think we grow up and have these ways of being that we never really confront or challenge because they have been serving us in some way. And so it's just cool to like have a new lens to look through life and to look at, yourself. And so I'm gonna Amazon that after this.
Do it. Yep. 100%.
Okay. Now into coaching, which I have to point out because Jenna is like my role model because you have a full-time job, and then you do Blush, and then you have 2 children, and then you have a husband, and then you have friends and a life and everything. So, so just had to put that out there because Blush is not the only thing that you do, which is just amazing. How long have you been with Blush for?
So I think I've officially been with Blush for about 9 months. I think Callie and I started talking over a year ago, and I was kind of waiting for like her to need to hire another coach. So I think I got in like last October, but I have been following Blush like since it started. It's like Callie started Blush when I was in grad school, and I was like, I love this. So I've been like an Instagram follower for like 6 years.
I love that. Yeah. I started as a client, and I just have always been like on the Blush train. And then when I like actually graduated, I literally was like, hi, Callie, I'm just going to wait here until you hire me.
Yes.
Like
100%. Yeah.
So I totally get that. I resonate with that. Okay. What attracted you to the helping profession?
This is a hard question for me because I don't think there was any one moment or, life event. I think that it ultimately started because I thought I was going into like the research realm of psychology, and I was super interested in relationships. Like that was what I wanted to do. And then I think I just eventually had this realization that I was really comfortable with big feelings and that not everyone is. And this idea that I had like the patience and the ability to like sit with someone during their journey and like help them figure it out, and that didn't drain me, it energized me. I started to realize like, oh, like there's a real need for people in counseling and to actually be more on the ground helping people. And I was like, well, that sounds amazing. So I kind of switched gears from like the research side to actual counseling. And once I jumped in, I was like, oh yeah, this is the place for me. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Were you planning on like, you wanted to be a like marriage and family therapist?
That was definitely something I thought about for a long time. And I was considering going like the PhD route or like a PsyD or something like that. And then when I realized like, oh, I could stop at a master's and like become a counselor, I was like, oh, well, that sounds great.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite blush topics to coach on?
So I feel like I've totally already mentioned this, but relationships are my jam. I feel like ultimately so many topics are important, right? But relationships tend to be like the things that cause us the most pain and also the things that heal us. You know, even when you think about just the coaching relationship, like that alone can be so healing. So I think relationships, and not necessarily romantic ones, like it could be family, it could be friends, but I think just like helping people figure out how to make those connections stronger and healthier is my jam. And sort of off of that comes into like identity and self-esteem, because you have to have a good relationship with yourself in order to have healthy relationships with other people. So I feel like all of that sort of self stuff comes right on the heels.
Yeah, totally. Preach. I like literally love that.
I know.
I totally agree. So, that's awesome. I love relationships too. I just think that they're so, you know, it's fun to like peel back the layers and kind of see like, okay, why do I act this way? Or like, why do I not act this way? Or why am I resistant to the, you know, like, it's kind of like, I always thought I wanted to be like in the FBI, like, you know, like private investigator. I feel like counseling and like life coaching is kind of like that, because you're kind of like peeling back the layers and trying to like, you know, figure things out. I don't know. I just think it's so cool. I love it. Okay. We're like majorly going off track, but it's okay. It's me. It's just because I'm curious. Okay. Let's see. What is your favorite thing about coaching?
So there's so many things to love. I think some of my favorite things are, I just feel so honored to be the person who is trusted with like your deepest, darkest personal growth and like your fears, your anxieties, like your hopes and your dreams. Like that just feels like such an honor to like sit with someone and work through that and try to help them get to where they want to be. Because I think so often people have a time in their life, not necessarily the whole time, where they just don't feel seen. They don't feel like anyone really gets it. And so it just feels very special to be able to step in and be like, I'm listening. You have my full attention. Like, let's figure this out with you, you know? And being that person who like validates what you're going through and watching how transformative that can be for someone is just so special, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. And I like the light bulb moments where clients like you stumble into saying the right thing and they're like, oh my gosh, like that clicks something for me. Like, I feel like I see this in a whole new way and I can actually start to move forward in a better way. And you're like, yes, you get it, girl, because that's just such an exciting moment. And I love watching those happen.
Yeah. I literally had one of those moments last week with my own therapist where I was just like, oh my God, like it's all there. But the way that she said it was like, what? Like it total, like I still am just like processing like, oh my gosh, it's just so crazy. And I like told Carl and I told my family about it. They're like, yeah, like we knew that. I'm like, obviously. What?
Yeah. And sometimes that's all it is. It's like you have all the pieces and all of a sudden the way a therapist or a coach can just reframe it or summarize it, you're like, Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I've been trying to figure out. And I've experienced that on the other side too. And it is so like a weight lifts and you're like, oh my gosh, I can move forward with this.
Yes, totally. I like love that. I'm on the same wavelength. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Best coaching tip for a client who is thinking about joining.
I feel like we've had some really good tips get thrown out there, and I kind of agree with what's been said. I think the thing that I always come back to, I know it's hard when you're meeting someone for the first time and you're about to like bare your soul on some level. I would want clients to know that like every coach genuinely cares about what's going on for you. Like they want to help you get to a happier, healthier place. Like know that from the get-go, we are so invested in you. Like we are so excited to help you and like just be the person that you need in this moment. I would want clients not to doubt that. And I get that trust and all of that is built up and you sort of establish a relationship, but that would be what I would tell clients considering it. Like, we're in this for you. Like, we are so committed.
Yeah. And I thought of two things when you were saying that. Like, what's cool about coaching too is that it doesn't just have to be like, you tell me everything about like your deepest stuff and I just sit here and take
Right.
it. You know, like I share very much like deep raw parts of myself and hard experiences with my clients too, because I'm like, look, it's an even playing field. Like I see you and I get you because I've been there and I know what this feels like. And I also think too, like I would do this job if it was free, like if I didn't get paid any money for it. And I think
100%.
I think there's probably some hesitation, at least I've had experience with, like there's some hesitation of like, okay, well, like you look like a friend, you sound like a friend, you know, you are my friend, but you're also getting paid for it. So there's this like awkward little in between. But I think like we would all do this and we all pursued this line of work.
Yeah.
Not because, not for the fact that it, you know, pays my dog's vet bills, you know, like, which are very expensive, by the way.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I just think it's important to note that, you know, yes, it's all of our jobs, but it comes from so much more of a place of purpose for all of us, you know?
Absolutely.
Love that. I love these chats. I just feel like so energized after them. Okay, favorite self-care activity, which you better have a good
I know.
self-care routine because you are a busy woman.
I know. And to be totally honest, it could definitely be better. I think when you have young kids, it is really hard to find time to fit yourself in there. But I was thinking about it, and I think when you think about self-care, like you need to recharge. You need to energize, like you need to feel like you're pouring back into yourself. The things that sort of are most accessible and do that for me are like quality time with my husband and like laughing, like, or being inspired, you know? So like sometimes I will pull up like comedy or like TED Talks and just be like, remind me that I have a brain, you know, beyond all the toddler wrangling that I do all day, you know, or everything else. I think those things really make me feel connected to who I am, and that's what makes me feel recharged. And I would love a good spa day, but ain't nobody got time for that right now.
It's on our bucket list. It's on there. We're gonna get to it. I swear, it's gonna blow your mind.
For sure.
But yeah, I love that. I'm the same. I think too, like whenever I feel like stagnant or just like stuck or like I'm having a couple days where I'm just like unmotivated and just like blah, I always like go to TED Talks or, you know, Brene Brown or like someone who's going to teach me something new that is going to inspire me in a way that I can have like, you know, wow, okay, like let me do this, you know, like jump right back in. So I think that that's really cool. I totally get that. Yeah. Okay, favorite quote.
So there are so many, but I think one that has resonated with me for years and years now is back from my days working in addiction, where there's just so much hopelessness and despair and like self-doubt. And so my favorite quote still is, while there's life, there's hope. Because I think sometimes we get to a place, and anyone struggling with anything, we get to a place where we think, can this really get better? Can I really change? Can the people in my life really change? How can this look different? It seems so impossible. And I always just come back to like, look, anything is possible. If you're still here, then there's still a chance.
I needed to hear that today. I really love that. And I resonate to that a lot with just my own life right now. So I think that, you know, it's really easy when things are just hard for a really long time to lose hope and just like give up. And I think that, you know, exactly, where there's life, there's still hope. You can't stop fighting because you don't have a choice, you know?
Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay to rest. You know, it's okay to take a break and give yourself a chance to like, but being able to just sort of remind people like, there's still hope. Like, this could still become what you want it to, because you're still here and you're still fighting for it.
That spoke to me today. I love it. I seriously needed that.
Yay! Perfect.
That's why I text you all the time.
Yes.
Okay, now we're going into the fun questions, which are really my favorite. This one, the first one, is just the best. So if you could have a dinner party and could invite anyone, who would be invited? And I'm obviously going to be there, so you don't have to.
100%. Under the table, Elise. Yeah, it's so funny because literally when I first thought of this question, I was like, realistically speaking, I want dinner with all the Blush coaches. Like, I want us all to get together. But it's so hard for me to pick like specific people. I was thinking about it and I was like, you know, like, okay, so I need some comedy. I need some comedians there. And I feel like not every comedian sounds like somebody that would be like funny to hang out with in real life, but I feel like Tiffany Haddish would be a scream. She is so endearing and so hilarious and so down to earth. I'm like, yes, please come just hang out with me and like we will giggle. Kathleen Madigan, I don't know if you know her. She's another female comedian and I die. She is so hilarious. So I feel like the two of them together, like, yes, I'm going to be at that end of the table, but I would also want someone to like be inspiring and learn from and have some kind of intellectual, you know, conversation. So I feel like Brene Brown is like the perfect person to just be like, tell me what you're thinking about lately. And I would sit at your feet and soak it all up. And yeah, and then I feel like there would have to be somebody, you know, who is completely different from me that I can just like remind myself how much there is to learn from people who are totally different. And that could literally be anyone. Like, I have no clue. There are just so many people. I mean, like Michelle Obama, or like, you know, someone who's just lived a completely different life. And I would be like, oh my gosh, like, tell me about your experiences. That's completely different. And then I would want someone who's also a mom of young children, because I'm like, we just need to have a moment where you get it. And I feel like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are so adorable. I'd be like, okay, let's get a couple in here. Tell me about your kids. I'll tell you about my kids. Like, let's just have a mommy moment.
I am literally obsessed with the both of them. I think that they have a couple goals.
Yeah.
I literally saw it this morning on Instagram. Like, he had posted a picture and Blake commented like, this picture just got me pregnant. And he responded back and was like, I'm actually not available right now. Please leave a message. Forward your message to @whatever. They can probably help you with this concern. I don't know when I'll be back for the foreseeable future. It was just, they have such a fun banter and such a fun relationship that I love that. That's like squad of a dinner party.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. What is one thing you can't live without?
So, true confessions, the first thing that pops into my mind is chocolate.
because it's my jam. But a close second, almost immediately, is my husband. He is my other half. We are so similar and so different, and it's like the perfect blend of someone who you're on the same wavelength, like they get you and you're talking the same language, and also he's so different in some ways that I'm like, he helps pull me out of like getting too focused or getting too organized or controlling or whatever it is, like he's the balance. He's my other half. So I feel like ultimately I would be lost without him.
Oh, I love that. Carl and I are the same way. We're like very similar in a lot of ways, but literally polar opposite in like the majority of ways. And it's just so interesting how it just like meshes and it just works. I don't understand it, but it just works,
Yeah.
I love that. I need to meet your husband someday.
Oh, I know.
Okay, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
So I've known the answer to this question for many years. And it basically just comes down to, I want to be able to fly. I feel like that would be the coolest. That would be my new self-care.
I love that. I've actually had like random dreams of me flying before.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but
I'm sure it means something. I have no doubt. Yeah.
It was fun. It was really fun in my dream. I feel like I would be scared to be that high. Like, have you ever seen those like Daredevil videos where the people are like up on the skyscraper and they're like jumping from one skyscraper to the other? Like, that makes me want to cry. And so I feel like I might be too scared to be up there.
Well, and to be honest, I don't even really like heights. Like, I would feel very uneasy. But I think maybe being able to fly would make that less scary over time. There would probably be an adjustment period where I would be a very nervous flyer.
You would just see Jenna like literally 5 feet off the ground, like, this is so awesome.
That's how I would start. It would be very cautious. Let's go crazy. Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. Okay. What or who inspires you the most?
This is a tough question for me too. And I think the more I think about it, the harder it is to choose like one person, because I feel like something that I do is I look for what inspires me about like almost everyone that I meet. I feel like everybody has some aspect of them that is so inspiring. We talked about Brene Brown. She is very inspiring because even when you just look at her, like her struggle, where she started and like the work that she's doing now is such a testament to like personal growth and getting out of your own way. It's so inspiring. And you can still see and hear that it's hard for her to be in this world of like, yes, vulnerability, because it's something that we all kind of shy away from. And so she is definitely someone who pops out in my mind as being inspiring. But honestly, like my husband is inspiring because he's different, like I'm like, wow, like it's really great that you just thought that or handled a situation that way. Like, and I just think I've met so many people, like the Blush coaches are inspiring. Like everyone just has something about them that you're like, oh, wow, like that is so cool. I need to hear more.
And you know what I love about you? Because I could totally tell that about you the second I heard you. But you share that with people all the time. Like if you, like I always say for everyone listening, Jenna's my ultimate hype woman. And we haven't even really like known each other that long, but you're just one of those people who like sees the absolute best in people and then shares that with them. Like you're like, this really inspires me about you. Or like, I just love that you're this way. So I just think that that's really cool too, because I think that a lot of the times people will have those thoughts, but will be like, oh, I don't want to like say that. Cause like, what if they think that's weird? Or like, what if they don't, what if they don't accept it? But you're just like, you give out all the love. And I like love that about you. So you're inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, last question. What makes you feel most empowered?
So I think the things that make me feel most empowered are even just like being part of or witnessing somebody's like journey to a better place. Like knowing that I had some small piece that like I was able to come up with the right metaphor that made that click into place for you, or that I said something that you really needed to hear, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness. I think those are the moments that make me feel like I'm doing a thing that matters. I'm doing a thing that's really making a difference, that's really helping people, and I feel like, yeah, like this is why I do this. But it just makes me feel like, I'm doing good work in the world. Like people's lives are changing. That definitely makes me feel empowered.
Yeah, I have that parallel experience too, and it's like literally the most empowering thing to leave and be like, that was so awesome, like it's this element of like purpose and passion and meaning all like coming together.
Yes.
Well, yay, we did it. We finished the interview. That was so awesome. I like feel like I learned a lot more about you, which I just love you and I adore you. And I'll probably text you in just a second.
I mean, please do. Yeah.
Do you have anything that you want to share with anyone before we go?
Just, do it, man. Like,
I love that.
Let's do it.
And you have a promo code too, right?
I do. So Jenna25 gets you 25% off your first month of coaching. I am also offering like the free 15-minute consultations for people who are like, I just need to try this and like see if we vibe and all of that. Cause I completely get that. That would be me. I'd be like, can I just try this before I commit? So I totally get that. So both options are available.
Yay! Okay, well, this was so much fun. I love you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Go give those babies kisses for me.
Totally will, and I'll talk to you later.
Bye.